Hey everybody, Davey Boy here, and today I am going to be talking about the OG Skunk Ape with C2. This is a board with a thirsty base. It's a little looser auto spinning when you're one footing, and it's not as stable as the Camber version. But it is forgiving, it has better float than the Camber, it's a better introductory level board, and it has exceptional grip. I rode this with large Union Force bindings, size 12 Nitro TLS boots, and size 12 Burton Ion boots. I got this out for about 3 different days, and about a foot of powder, some good grimmers, and I've also ridden versions of this board in the past on pretty hard icy snow, and I compared it to the new Cambered Skunk Ape. And this is an objective, honest review brought to you by our sponsor, Blower Board Shop. So if you want to support us, the best way to do that is by shopping through our links for Blower and buying through those links. Blower is an OG board shop. They've been selling snowboards longer than your boy has been alive. So we would appreciate it if you gave them your business. Help us, help them, help you. Symbiotic circle. The rising tide lifts all boats. You gotta love the snowboard community. So for the sizing, this board handled my weight really well and handled my size 12 boot perfectly too. I will say that I thought that the cambered version handled my weight a little better, and this would be the size I would get if I was buying this board. For the shape, this board is directional. It only has 2 millimeters of taper, so it feels like a non-tapered board. This board has a 1-inch setback on side cut with an undisclosed reference stance. So if I'm going to call this the reference stance, you'll still be 1 inch back on center of board. Now, if I was going to set it back all the way, you can get negative 2.125 inches back at a 23.6 inch stance width for setback on POW. And that's a little less than the negative 2.3 inches you get on the Camber version. They're giving it a little more setback on the Camber to make up for that lack of early rise. And this has the same shape as the Camber. And for the Camber profile, this is Libtech's C2X. As you can see, there's a rocker in the middle that transitions into a mellow camber that doesn't come all the way back down. It makes for a loose, auto-spinny feel when you're one-footing or flat basing. It's especially noticeable in harder snow. As the snow becomes softer, the board becomes more stable. So here we have the Skunk Ape Camber. There's a healthy bow of camber going all the way across this thing that starts in the tail and ends up in the nose a good amount past the inserts. And there's a pretty stark contrast between how these two boards feel on snow. This is technical, advanced to expert. But this rockered version is more forgiving, and it is good for any level of rider, but especially beginner to intermediates. Here's the flex for this Skunk Ape with rocker. That's on the stiffer side of medium stiff. Nice stiff tail. And a nice stiff nose. This board's definitely on the stiffer side of medium stiff, and you need that stiff flex for a big guy's board. And for butters, the rocker in the middle with a little bit of lift in the tail and the nose, it actually gives you a little bit more leverage, and it butters easier than you would think for a board that's this big and stiff. Both the Skunk Apes, the Camber and this one, have a surprising amount of pop. I really enjoyed jumping on these boards. This rocker profile is a little bit more twitchy though, and not quite as locked in and confident for me coming off of little side hits or things when it gets a little firmer into like kind of icy territory. But in soft snow, this thing felt great going off of jumps. For the uneven snow, I actually thought this Skunk Ape with the rocker did not do as well as the Camber. The Skunk Ape Camber just seemed to be locked in on edge and just charge through chunder like a monster. This thing charges through chunder, but there's a little bit of twitch to that rocker that I personally don't like as much. So when it comes to edge hold, you can see there's a pretty aggressive magnet traction going on here. These Skunk Apes are definitely hard ice specialists. I would say the Camber version is a little bit more of a hard ice specialist, but this board still has exceptional edge hold. And for turn initiation, I thought this board initiated a turn pretty well. The rocker profile allows you to turn a little more from the center of the board. It feels faster edge to edge than the cambered version. And when you get this board on edge, the rocker gives you a more turny experience than the Skunk Ape Camber. The rocker profile doesn't want to flat base as much as the Camber, It definitely wants to be on edge. It's quicker than the Camber board for a wide drawn out across the groomer carve or a tighter circle carve, but it doesn't feel as stable and confident when you're doing long drawn out S turns, real driving down the line type of turns. That's where the Camber board shines a little more. But this board isn't as stable or confident in turns that are close to a straight line, you know, real driving, drawn out S turns down the line type of stuff. The Skunk Ape Camber is more confident with that type of turn. This board doesn't really want to be on a flat base that much. And this doesn't like speed as much as the Camber. It's okay for C2, but it's not the board you want to get if you're looking to straight line. And for base glide, this board reminds me of a younger version of myself. It's very thirsty. This board has a sintered knife cut base that requires constant waxing. When it gets dry, you can feel that micro texture on the bottom of the board, and sometimes when you get into wetter snow or softer snow, it can feel like the board's kind of grabbing you and not really releasing out of a turn as well. So you can definitely get some friction on the base if it's not waxed properly. But if you keep up to waxing and you maintain optimal glide, this board can go pretty fast. If you give this a base grind, it'll hold the wax a little better. It's still not the upper echelon, but it'll definitely help. When it comes to switch riding, I'm not the best switch rider, but for a slightly tapered directional board, this is going to ride switch really well. For jumps, I thought the rocker felt a little twitchy on this board, so I didn't feel as stable or confident going into my takeoff as I did with the Skunk Ape Camber. But as with the Skunk Ape Camber, this stiff tail absorbs the impact really well on a landing. It lays you down gentle, and for a board that's designed for bigger riders, you definitely need that stiffer tail to absorb that extra impact on a bigger jump. And I found that it did that very well. For the half pipe, I would definitely prefer the Camber version of this board. But this board's not bad in the pipe. That's just a personal preference. Again, take some of this commentary with a grain of salt. If you don't like Camber and you prefer rocker, then this could be a good option. But for me, I like having a board that feels a little more locked in and stable on the track up a pipe wall. For jibs, this would definitely be better than the Skunk Ape Camber, but there's definitely better jib boards out there. And for powder float, this board doesn't have as much setback as the Camber, but the rocker profile definitely helps you get a better float than the Skunk Ape Camber. I definitely found this board to be a little bit of a back leg burner though, even though it has the rocker profile, and I think that there's other directional boards with similar rocker profiles that are gonna feel like they have more natural float. This isn't bad for an all mountain board, but there's definitely other boards out there that have easier directional float. So for the final thoughts, I've ridden this Skunk Ape a few different times over the years. This has always been the quintessential plus size, bigger riders board. I enjoy this board. It's never really blown my socks off. For me personally, I'm a real big fan of the Skunk Ape Camber. I think that thing took a lot of what I liked about the Skunk Ape and just took it to another level. You still get the confidence from a big stiff board, but for my riding style, it just felt more locked in, more aggressive, more confident. And yeah, I would say if you're a beginner to intermediate, this board is a lot more forgiving than the Camber and is going to be a better option if you're looking to learn. But if you're advanced to expert and you want to ride fast and charge hard, the Camber is going to be a better option for you.